Most logistics companies say they do custom distribution. Fortune 500 companies spend millions finding out which ones actually can. The gap between we handle complex freight and building the actual infrastructure to back it up, that gap costs companies more than they ever expect. And by the time they realize their partner can't keep up, the contracts are signed and freight is moving and the problems are already downstream. Very few companies are actually building for this, and today's guest built one from the ground and he's going to tell you exactly what that takes. Welcome back to Your Bestie in Freight. I'm your host Lida, and my bestie in freight today is Kalen Block, VP and partner at Yellowstone Logistics, a custom distribution powerhouse that has been solving complex freight challenges since 2007. Thank you so much for coming to my show. So let's get right into it. Yellowstone doesn't just move freight, you build custom distribution system around your client, right? What does that actually mean in real world?
Built our software in-house, and our main reason for doing that was basically just to give us a level of dynamics within the industry where we could build things specific to customers' needs that would allow us to kind of grow with them, add more services as we go, things of that nature, and then also to be able to kind of combine with their software, the stuff they were using. We're able to kind of tap into that using our own custom software. We've also come across quite a bit of instances where customers need a solution for something, but they're not really sure how to get it. And we can work together with their tech teams and things of that nature to build something for them. Whether it's a dashboard to show, what their shipments are doing, reporting, constant updates to their customers, things of that nature. So that's really what that's allowed us to do, being kind of a customized solution for our customers.
Wow, that's really interesting. Can you please go back the story about Yellowstone? I would love to know how the game come out and how you guys started.
Yeah, sure. So Yellowstone was started back in 2007 by a group of guys who had kind of left their industry jobs working for large corporations, decided to go out on their own and see what they could do. They were mainly focused on mail, periodicals, things of that nature, high volume but pretty low cost freight. Um, they had a group of guys that had a lot of expertise within that world, and they ran that about as far as they could go. Obviously, as we all know, the mail industry, articles, magazine, print, all that stuff is going away. So a lot of that business started to dwindle down, not because of an issue with service or pricing or anything of that nature. It just was the nature of the way people were consuming, entertainment. The email obviously made a big took a big hit on the postal service and mail shipping in general. So um, around, I would say, maybe 2015, they slowed things down quite a bit and started to kind of branch out into different types of industry, different type of product movement, things of that nature. I had actually met the gentleman who's my business partner today. We each own half of the business. I met him working for another company that bought out the previous company's IT. Basically, it was the software to use. It was used with the USPS. It allowed them to kind of track and trace the mail parcels and things like that. But basically, my jump into it was in 2019, 2020. Basically, came in and started from scratch. We had a couple of customers that were shipping pretty low volumes, but kind of me and my business partner kind of had a dream to build this thing up into something we could be proud of. We took a lot of the lessons we learned throughout the industry working for other companies over the course of, I've been in the industry now for about 17 years. He's been in it, shoot, I'd guess about 35, 40, something like that. So we took a lot of the lessons we learned, a lot of the good things and a lot of the bad things from previous companies, and kind of used that knowledge to build what we have today. And then, really this iteration of Yellowstone and who we are today is about 7 years old at this point. That's how long I've been with the company, and been kind of helping to steer the ship here to where we really want to go in the future.
Wow, nice. Interesting story. So you went from operations supervisor to VP and partner founder, right? What did being in trenches teach you that you couldn't have learned from the top down?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and really this is one that's probably easiest to speak to, right? Most people have their story, especially in this industry. There are a lot of stories in freight. That's a big part of my one of my old bosses used to tell me that there was this saying in freight that was telephone, telegraph, teledriver, right? Because that would be the easiest way to get your message out. Because these guys like to talk, they like to tell stories, things of that nature. So when I started out, I went to work for one of my friend's dad's companies. He owned a trucking company, and nothing about the industry at the time, but I was eager to learn. I was eager just to basically get a job out of college, and he offered, and I took it, right? And I came in, and it was one of those things where you learn everything from just how to operate within an office and how to operate within the workforce. But mainly, like specifically to transportation, the biggest things I took away from those experiences were a level of empathy for drivers and what they're doing out there, right? We as freight brokers, a lot of us get a bad rap for not understanding the industry, not understanding what the drivers are going through on a day-to-day basis. And there are a lot of brokers out there that really don't care. But at Yellowstone, we're not one of those, right? We recognize the fact that our carriers are just as important as our customers. Without either side, you have nothing, right? And recognizing, understanding what these drivers are going through on a daily basis is really important to build your business in a way that you can be proud of what you're putting out there. You can be confident in the rates that you're offering to carriers. You can be confident that people are going to want to work with you over and over and over again, right? We all find the higher the volume, the more work you do with somebody, the better the rates generally get, better the service gets. Everybody starts to understand all the different players within your subset of the business, right? So we put a large focus on carrier partnership and understanding what these drivers are going through every day. Um, that's been a big deal for us. And then from a business perspective, understanding customers, understanding how shippers work, what their challenges are. Many of the people that you're talking to on a day-to-day basis as as an operator in the freight world, they're not the owners of these companies. They're not the decision makers in these companies. They're just the people that have to carry out the orders that somebody else has given them, right? And
Yeah,
to understand their world a little bit and to get a good look at what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, you find ways to make their jobs easier, to make their lives easier. And that's where a lot of the people that have come to us, a lot of our customers, that's what it is, right? That's what these people want more than anything else. It's just be the one person that I can give my freight to and not have to worry about it at the end of the day. And
yeah.
that's what we strive to be. That's what we always have been. That's one of the pillars of really what Yellowstone is.
I love it. I love the philosophy treating carriers the same way as you guys treat shippers because they are both partners. And as you say, logistics doesn't exist without one or another, right? And making shipping managers' life easier, of course, that's what all we want to do. And I wanted to touch base about Yellowstone tracking technology that you have, right? It's called Direct Pass. Why you guys build it instead of buying it, and what problems was it actually solving that off the shelf tools couldn't?
Yeah, so something that we found, and again, like when you work your way up through this industry, you work with a lot of different platforms. You work with a lot of different softwares, transportation management softwares, and systems, and things like that. Like anything else, you're going to find great things about it, and you're going to find things that are really frustrating about it, things that are making your job more difficult, or redundancies within these software platforms. Why do I have to go to the same 3 pages and type in the same information I just typed in on the first one? Things like that. So when we set out to build our own software, it was basically with this idea that kind of as I alluded to in the beginning, it's this idea that we wanted to be dynamic in the marketplace. We wanted to be able to create custom solutions for customers, but we also wanted to streamline our software so that our employees had the easiest job possible from a software management perspective, right? It also helps, when you control your own software, you control all of the IP along with it. You control all of the locations, all of the customer data, all of the banking data, all that stuff. We don't have to pay for extra security for all those types of things. We don't have to pay for leads and things of that nature because we house thousands and thousands of addresses of places that we picked up from or delivered to. And we're really big on data integrity and making sure that everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be within, the data itself kept in the system. So, once you enter in a location into our system, you're entering in the context there, the open and close times, whether they require appointments, if they need lift gates, pallet checks, all that kind of stuff is right there in our system, right? So that decreases the potential that you're going to show up somewhere with the wrong type of equipment or at the wrong time or without an appointment or so on and so forth, or wrong address or all those types of things, right? So we found basically with building our own, you can control all of those things much easier, and you can
Oh,
take feedback from your employees. Our operators come back to us and say, hey, I'd like to see this little widget added to this section of the system here. Is there something we could do to make this a little bit easier, a little bit faster, or work a little bit more congruent within the shipment method I'm using, or anything like that. Being that we have our own, we don't have to call somebody up to have them, make these changes within our system and pay somebody to operate the system and all that kind of stuff. We just wanted to take it all in house. We control it and be able to enjoy the spoils of what it's created for us.
nice. So how do you win those deals, and where do you actually beat these uh, big bucks brokerages?
Well, I mean, a lot of what we do, a lot of our customer acquisition comes through referrals. Most of the time, these are people who know us through someone else that they've worked with, or it's somebody we've shipped to or picked up from in the past for a different customer. They like the way that we do our business. They like the way that we manage things and the way that we communicate with them. And then they ask us to jump in and, help them out with some of their hardest stuff, right? That's always my real, quote unquote sell, as you would say, is we come in and we want the thing that sticks in your hide every day, right? The most annoying, most difficult part of your job, let us take that first. And we earn our way to the rest of your freight, to a bigger share of wallet within our customers' total freight spend, by being the guys that do the hardest things first, right? And we prove ourselves with kind of that training ground, and then it gives our customers a lot of confidence to come back to us and say, well, yeah, you guys did really well with the hard stuff. I'm sure you could take these 50 truckloads and knock those out, right? So that's been a
Yes.
big part of our success and our growth and development and things like that. And then we just we have really good relationships with our customers. And, I tell people all the time, when we start out a new customer, either myself or my business partner is what we call first through the wall, right? So, he or I is going to be the first person actually on the front lines operating your freight from day one. We're going to do that until we get to a point where you feel comfortable enough that we understand your business, we understand the way that your freight works, and then we start passing it down to our employees from there, right? And we introduce them to decision makers or stakeholders at those companies. We say these guys are going to take over your freight from here on out. We've trained them on everything that we've learned, in the time that we started working with you guys, and generally it's been a pretty good process for us. It's worked pretty well. But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that we get, most of the new customer acquisition that we have, is a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of people saying, hey, my buddy works at XYZ company. He recommended you guys. I got a difficult thing going on, and is this something you can do to help us? And as I'm sure you're well aware, the answer is always yes, right? Just depends on how much we're willing to spend and what the nature of the problem is.
Yes, actually, today I had a conversation and they were trying to move a hazmat perfume from Florida to San Diego, and they were like, is it something you can do? I'm like, with right price, we can do everything, right? If you, yes, that's very important. So I wanted to touch base with artificial intelligence, right? It's everywhere right now, and everyone is talking about it. Automation in logistics. From where you sit running real distribution operation, where is AI actually delivering results in your opinion, and where is it is still more hype than help?
Yeah, I think a lot of it right now is on the financial side. That's where it's being used most successfully. I think that, numbers and, standardized things are generally going to be the best use for AI at this point. So we're working on agents and AI agents and things of that nature to start to streamline some of our billing practices, our, AR and AP, things like that, sending out reminders if we don't have an invoice from a particular carrier, or if we have past due invoices with a customer, you can start to set up the AI to reach out to those entities and try to get updates and things like that. As far as the operational side of the business, I know there are a lot of companies out there that are trying to kind of crack this, right? Trying to crack this code of being personal while also being kind of on the front lines and the edge of technology, right? And that's a really difficult thing to combine right now because I think the AI world, there is quite a bit of hype, there is quite a bit of opportunity out there, and I think it will be used in major ways in this industry. It already is being used in major ways in this industry. But for a company like ours, we're a smaller company. One of the most valuable things about working with a company like ours is the fact that you have, my cell phone number, the owner's cell phone number that you can call at any time. I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to take care of your problem immediately. There's no switchboards. There's no, leave a message and we'll get back to you. You're the 15th caller in line. There's none of that with us, right?
Yes.
And so we're kind of right now kind of in this flux phase where we're trying to figure out where do we plug into AI where it's not going to put our customers off, where it's not going to make them feel like, oh, I thought you guys were different. I thought you were the guys that always answered the phone and were always there for us when we needed you. And now, you have these AI plugins. I have to enter this information into a portal somewhere. I don't want to do all this. I just want to call you, tell you what I need, and you take care of it from there. So,
Yeah.
there is some pushback from the shipping world, from the manufacturing world. A lot of the people that are at the end of the line and either palletizing product, getting it staged, getting it ready to ship, or making the decisions in the logistics room of what carrier is going to take what. These people generally are not the most tech savvy or the most up on what AI could do for them today. They're just wanting, basically, I want to get through the day, get through my job, make it as easy as I can, because they have 100 fires going on in the warehouse at any given time. And one more portal they have to log into, or one more set of software that they have to update every 2 months. And it's not something a lot of those people are interested in, right? I think in the future it will start to get that way. There will be less and less operation influenced by actual people. But right now, I mean, it just feels like we're not there yet from a manufacturing and an actual shipping perspective. So we're kind of just riding the line, and if customers want it, if it's something they want included in the package we're providing them, we're happy to do it. And most of that is just going to be integration with their software and things like that.
Yeah. I love it. Amazing answer. So what is the thing in your operation today that's giving you the most friction, the problems that you are still actively trying to solve?
I mean, I think it's the same for everybody right now, and the fact that trucks are coming off the road at record pace, right? We're losing capacity every single day, and it makes it really, really challenging to forecast what your pricing is going to be. As most of us know, most of our customers in this industry, they want 12-month pricing, right? They send out these RFPs, they have big swaths of business they want you to quote, and you have to give them pricing for 12 months, right? At this point, pricing out full truckload for 6 months from now is nearly impossible because I don't know, over the last few months with what's been going on, geopolitically in the world, we've seen massive increases in fuel prices. At the same time, we're losing trucks every day, right? They've gotten a lot stricter with the policy on who's allowed to drive these trucks. And in some cases, I think that's a good thing. But like everything else, I think the pendulum swings a little bit too far each way, right? And at this point, we're begging for guys to get in the trucks just so we can cover some of these loads. And I think a lot of trucking companies out there are having a hard time keeping their trucks running, keeping the seats filled. And that's been a huge problem for us recently. I mean, it's just driven freight costs up incredibly. I mean, we've seen at least, 20, 25, 30% increases across the board, basically on every lane. It's something
Yes.
that, we didn't really see since COVID, basically. And at that
Yeah.
point, it was all hands on deck. It was just get a truck whenever you could, right? People don't have the same appetite right now for those rate increases. Customers don't have the same appetite for those rate increases right now because it's not the same level of crisis that we were in during COVID. But
I
it's
agree.
really, really difficult for us to explain to people, the capacity issues we're seeing in the market, and that, obviously being bolstered by the fact that fuel is going up. it makes everything more expensive, and it makes, finding trucks that much more difficult. So, kind of gone are the days of, yeah, you can trust this rate for 12 months, and we'll stand by it. We're kind of telling customers at this point, you have to give us a range of this to this, right? This is going to be our best rate right now, and there's going to be a fluctuation of 10% up or down throughout the year. We're not really sure, what 6 months from now is going to look like. So it's hard to get into those contracts and stand by those rates the way things are going in the industry right now. Luckily, we have a lot of customers who are understanding about it, but you also have a lot that don't want to hear it. They say, you gave us your rates, this is what you got to move them at. And in some cases, you have to take losses.
Yeah, I hear you. Today, actually, I got a RFP that was trying to get a pricing for next 18 months. I'm like, there is no way I can give you pricing for next 18 months because tomorrow the fuel prices might drop and then we're gonna have like more, better cost for shippers, but it might go up and then I cannot commit to that for 18 months. And I appreciate you talking to shippers. That's what I also advise a lot of freight brokerage companies, that we have to have these hard conversations with shippers and educate them because they are a little bit slow to adjust, but tracking companies, they adjust the same day because they can see the fuel cost affecting right away, right? Comparing to shippers that they are like slow to adjust and they are resistant in the first few weeks. So
Certainly.
yes.
Something I try to explain to them as well is the fuel costs are going to go up a lot faster than they're going to come down. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of reactionary increase in the pricing, but when things calm down, it's not going to come down just as fast, right? It's going to take time. It basically, it's like anything else with the inflation, the level of, price increases of everything, every product across the board, basically at this point, those prices are never coming down. They're just not going to go up as fast in the future, right? And so, yeah,
Yeah.
we may see a mild decrease in fuel prices over the next 6, 8, 10, 12 months, whatever. But it's not going to be these rapid drops like we saw rapid increases, right? It just doesn't work that way. And, a lot of times carriers get used to the money they're getting paid on these, per mile rates on these lanes. And they don't come down as fast either. There's a lot of times where they're going to sit a truck for an extra day because they think they're going to get that $4 a mile, right? And that influences things quite a bit as well. So, freight, a lot of times in this industry as well, we're a good judge of kind of how the economy is doing. Because
Yes.
when freight rates start to go up, that means product prices are going up. When freight rates start to go up, that things are going to constrict within our market, right? There's going to be less capacity. Things are going to move slower. That's just part of the way that this industry works. And until we can increase, the production of drivers and, you know, basically get capacity back to, even what it was a year ago, we're not going to see those kind of decreases anytime soon. So I tell customers, it's going to be quick to go up and it's going to be really slow to come back down.
Yes. That's amazing that you taking your time and educating. Of course, we was getting affected as a consumer, right? At the end of the day, everything is gonna go high, and we are the ones who is gonna pay. But that was very great that you mentioned we are first indicators to understand what's gonna happen with the market because transportation costs affect everything. So with that being said, I want to quickly shout out to my sponsor, Digital Permit Book. If you are owner, operator, or carrier company, this is for you. Permits, IFTA, compliance documents, all in one place. No more scrambling. Check them out at digitalpermitbook.com. And now I have a rapid fire question for you. No overthinking. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Truckload or LTL?
Load, I guess. Both have
Okay.
their disadvantages and their advantages. Both have their stresses and difficulties. I guess if I got to choose one, I'll take full truckload right
Yes. Relationships or data? Which closes the deal?
now. Relationships 1,000% of the time.
9 consolidation centers or 1 mega warehouse?
Non-consolidation centers, more points, more business.
AI dispatch or human dispatch?
Human dispatch, no problems, no miscommunications.
Fortune 500 client or 10 mid-market client? Which one do you choose?
10 mid market.
Amazing. You did it great, very fast. Thank you. I think this was such a great conversation, and what you have built at Yellowstone is very interesting, and the infrastructure, and especially the tech and team. And I believe that this industry needs more of this type of companies and the philosophy behind it. Where can people find you and connect with Yellowstone Logistics?
Yeah, so they can find us on the internet, YellowstoneExpress.com, YellowstoneLogistics.com. We actually have two businesses. They both will funnel you to the same website. YellowX.com is also one of the addresses we use. You can find me on LinkedIn, Kalen Block, KalenBlock. If you want to reach out, I'm more than happy to speak to anybody at this point. I love making contacts in the industry. And yeah, anybody who's out there looking for a solid freight broker who's going to tell you the truth. And, we're not the cheapest carrier out there. We're not the cheapest broker out there. I'll be the first to tell you that. But you get what you pay for in this industry, and you'll learn pretty quickly with us that you get the best.
Exactly. I love it. We are not the cheapest. That's what I have been also telling. I love it. So, to everyone listening, if this hit home, share it with someone on your team. This is how we move freight industry forward. Subscribe, leave us a review, and I will see you on the next one. And thank you, Kellen, to joining to my show.
Thank you, Lita. Have a great day.
You too.